Okay, welcome back to Dave's Garage. We're on the second segment, reinstallation of the caliper and rotor for the 2005 Kia Sedona. And we're going to just cover the reinstallation of the caliper itself, not bleeding the brakes. That's going to be on a later segment, we're going to do a different segment altogether on bleeding brakes. But what I want to point out is that we went ahead and, like I said on the earlier segment, is we cleaned up all the road grime. We took off all the brake dust that had compiled for the last 90,000 miles. That's about the lifespan of the last rotor. You can see right here the new rotor. You can also see the new brake pads. We got the new brake pads. I'm sorry, we got the new caliper and the new rotor right here. And these are all Kia, OEM Kia parts. I went ahead and cleaned up the bolts as well. You want to make sure all those are really good to go. And WD-40, I can't say enough about it. It's a really good product. Been using it for the last 35 years. I've been wrenching. So since I was 9 years old, and I started this with my dad way back when. So love it. WD-40 does a lot of good wonders. Same tools, impact driver. The only tool I've added is the torque wrench, and I've already preset the poundage to the specs here, which is 57 foot-pounds of torque. And you always want to make sure when you're doing the mounting of the actual caliper guide that we took out earlier, remember we had to use a breaker bar, we have to make sure that this is to the specs for the manual. If you don't want your caliper flying off. You definitely don't want that happening. So with that, let's get started. Alright, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and take off put on the rotor, and let's go ahead and line it up. Okay, and we take the rotor pins. Okay, get those on there nice and snug first. We're not gonna pound them in yet. Just give that back. Okay. Again, I'm not a spokesperson for AutoZone, but if you don't have any of these parts, AutoZone has a really good Lona tool program. You just have to leave your DNA sample and an arm, maybe a leg. No, I'm just kidding. Just have to leave some deposit or whatever, and then if you don't bring it back, I guess you keep the tool and they keep your money. So we'll go ahead and impact drive these things back, just the same way we took them out. And I've already preset the impact driver. Okay, nice and snug. Alright, let's go ahead and turn this. Actually, turn it the other way. Now I've already got the key in the number 1 position inside the vehicle. Don't have the radio or nothing on, but okay, so let's go ahead and take our Ultra Disc brake caliper lube. You can get this by the packet at AutoZone as well. You can get the smaller packets. I always try to keep a tray full of in my garage of various bulb grease, anti-seize connectors. So you always want to have that kind of stuff handy. Keep it on hand, especially if you do a lot of wrenching like I do. Alright, so what I want to do is the caliper bolts, you always want to get a nice little bead on there. Okay, and just kind of throw it on there. And get my rag here. Alright. Put that down. Get the next one. And again, I'm not the kind of guy who says, let's brake and while I do this and you guys figure out how I did it, I want you guys to see exactly how it's done and kind of grease that thing up. There's nothing really spectacular about this. What's really nice about knowing how to do this kind of stuff, you can save yourself a lot of money. As we all know, that's probably why you're watching this segment. Alright, so I'm going to move my stuff out of the way here. Alright. And we're going to do the main bolt, so we're going to 13/16 is set. I'm going to get that set ready to go. Alright. So, the outside is going to sit just like that. So, first things first, I almost forgot. We want to take some of this caliper grease, lube, and you want to put some on the inside seals. Remember we were talking about that when we took off the other one, and it's not going to fit in there, so I'm just going to put some on my finger. It's not going to hurt, just grease. Play with it. Just kind of rub it in the seal there. And I know you probably can't see what I'm doing right now, but we'll have the camera take a look at it in just a second. And you want to take just enough, same amount on one side that you do the other. Just about that much. And a lot of heat, you know. Start stepping on the brakes, stop and go, especially if you live in LA. You know, when you do this stop and go stuff, heats up. So this stuff's going to protect that little rubber seal. And that's what it's there for. Alright. Now, this is going to be the outside of the caliper, so we're just going to go ahead and set it just on the inside right there. We're going to take our first bolt and washer. This is a good magnetic tray. Alright. Line up that first bolt. Kind of holds it in place. Not very hard. Get the camera a better angle there. And we're going to line up the second bolt down here. I'm getting grease on my hands. Don't have to worry about the gloves just yet because this is a brand new clean rotor. So, not too much to expect. But you may want to just go ahead and slide a glove on, so it's a lot easier and faster. These gloves are really cheap, $1.50, Harbor Freight. Oops, I said it. Harbor Freight. Sometimes they have good stuff, sometimes they don't. You just gotta know what you're looking for. I'm not a Harbor Freight advocate, but I like to get my stuff there too. Alright. Pretty much have it on. Okay, that's loose, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. I just want to get it snug. Alright, next one. And you notice last time we had that big issue with the bolt going on, it wasn't going on right, and wasn't sliding on, it wasn't coming off right. Well, now we don't have that issue because we threw them in some WD-40, cleaned them up real nice, and So we're not going to do the torque yet. Just going to get them nice and snug. Okay, now we're going to throw the torque wrench on. Already preset. And if you don't know how to set a torque wrench, it's pretty easy. We'll go ahead and just show you really quick. You can see that's in kilograms, don't get mixed up. And these are foot-pounds of torque. And it should be 57 pounds. Well, this puppy doesn't want to go on. There you go. Okay, so when you're doing a torque wrench, for all those who haven't, hear the click. Okay, so that tells you that you got the right torque. See how it slides right off? That's why you want to clean up your bolts again. Okay, so we're going to go over here. This one's a little tricky. We did the one on the other side already. And what I found out is I had to get an extension. First I had to do this. And I had to get an extension just to reach it. Something with the bolt and everything. So you want to get it just far enough. And you want to push down on it. So you hear the click. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our mess here, put it aside, bring our pads over, and then we're going to take our other pieces here, and we're going to go to the, let's see, we'll do this one first. Okay, that's the plug for the brake line. So I'm just going to throw that aside. And the pieces we have here is we have the two washers, one on either side. It doesn't really matter. They're little brass washers. And you put the other one right here. So it kind of looks like that. And there's a little guide right here, so you can't really screw that up. You see the little bleeder hole. Okay. Alright. So we're going to take the 12. Was the 12 was the one that had the now that's just an educated wrist. I've been doing this for a while. For those of you who don't know, who don't have an educated wrist, you might want to get the torque wrench, do the specs, get the OEM guide. You can go to alldata.com and register for an account, register your vehicle, pay for the year, pay for life, if you know you're going to have the vehicle for a long time. So it's alldata.com, ALLDATA.com, and you register your vehicle, VIN number, all that, and it'll give you the OEM service manual, all the specs, how to, you know, everything you need to know. Everything we just got, like what's the torque poundage for the bolts, how did he know? You could go there. I have service manuals. I have my own ways of getting the information I need. Little tidbits of information. The little L right here stands for left. Now, I don't know if the other, it varies from other vehicles. You see it says Kia, you know. This particular vehicle, one of the calipers, and I believe it's the driver's side, and the driver's side strut as well, is more expensive than the other. For what reason, I don't know. It has something to do maybe with the torque in the front of the engine. I don't know. So you definitely don't want to screw these up. They look identical, except for the little indicator. Okay, so now we are ready to install the pads. So you can see they slide, which is really good, and I can hear the grease in there. A little suction on there. Okay, so let's get to 14. And we're going to loosen it up. Actually, we're going to take the bottom. Apologies. You don't have to take both of these off. You don't need a hammer. Haha, that's a little joke for one of my friends, Kevin. Somebody tried to say they needed a hammer to change brakes. There you go. And now you can get a really good look. See where I put the grease. You know, you want to make sure you grease up those areas because they heat up. I do it every single brake job. Those other calipers that I had, they're still kind of good. They lasted 90,000 miles. There's a lot of other vehicles out there that don't last that long. And that's because people don't do the necessary preventative maintenance, and that's what I call it, preventative maintenance to keep this stuff lasting. Alright, taking this bolt out, looks dry. It's a caliper bolt. Put a little lube on it. Okay. And just leave it up there for right now. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to take the disc brake quiet. Permatex. Permatex makes both of these, by the way. The lube and the disc brake quiet. And it's going to come out blue. Okay. And that prevents your brakes from making that awful sound. Okay. Now, that's, I'm going to do about half of each. Okay. Now, just to let you know, I use my fingers. Some people say use those nitrile gloves. You know what? It's all your own preference. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and honestly, it doesn't do any harm to me, and I wash my hands right away, so I just don't like fucking with anything else. So, oops, I said the F word. Sorry. Okay. You don't want to get any of this stuff on the actual brake pad itself, only because it will really screw it up. Okay. And this stuff is really kind of sticky. Have you ever played with this stuff before? It's kind of sticky. And you notice this nice brown towel I'm sitting on? Thanks to my wife. You know, when we get new towels, she gives me the old towels to use in the garage. I also use the old bath mats. I don't know if you want to span over here. You can use these old bath mats to sit on. I'm a recycle person. You know, I like to save the planet, if you were. Instead of going and buying, they sell the same stuff. You know, you buy this stuff, but heck, you know, why are you gonna buy something and when you got something you could use all the same? Okay, so on the actual directions themselves, it says for the outside pad, which is the side of the piston, is this pad, and the inside one has the nice little indicator that tells you when your pads are running low. Okay, so it doesn't take a real rocket scientist to just really kind of, okay, well, that's the way the pad sits. So you just kind of pop it in there. See? And see how sticky that is. Okay, so you don't, like, again, you don't want to get it on the pad itself, so you just want to go ahead and set it in there. Alright. Again, thanks to my wife for giving me these old towels. So, I don't have to screw with buying any new ones. Alright, so now all we're going to do now is slide this puppy down. Kind of move it over. Got to make sure they're all seated correctly. seated correctly. Okay. So, sometimes what happens is these pistons, I didn't expect it to have on a brand new one. But it's not collapsed all the way. So, this came right out of the box. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk over here and we're going to get a piston pusher. So, I'll put my toolboxes here. And I have another one right here. So what this does is it goes ahead and it pushes the piston in. What we need to do is we need to get one of the older pads. So I went ahead and put these away. So get the old pad. Alright. Yeah, because you don't want to screw up the new pad. And you can see where the pistons were sitting there. Excuse me. And you set it in there. Oops. Just push it enough so when it comes down, you can get it enough. This one is a double piston, so we have to go ahead and scoot it down on the lower one as well. Back it out. And you can see the pistons actually going back in. Alright, let's try that. That top piston. And again, the other one we just did, it didn't have an issue. It's just like I said, sometimes when they have to do their quality control on these pistons, maybe they didn't release it or didn't push it back in when they released it, or who knows. One of 100 different scenarios. Alright, there we go. So now, one of the things you might come into, see, so that's what's different from my little segments than other people, because they don't want to take the time to film this, I guess, or I don't know, but it happens. You're running it, nothing's perfect. And all the time I've been doing this, it's never a textbook. Yeah, that rare occasion that it might be close to it, but okay, so now we're putting the lower caliper pin bolt on. You notice I didn't even touch this upper one, and it spins freely right there. So you don't really need to take everything off. So when you change the brakes, you know, you're doing all this taking it apart and everything, but when you want to change the pads, all you really got to do is take the wheel off and take off that one pin. Take the pads out, apply the caliper lube and the disc brake quiet to the new pads. After you've cleaned it up with some brake cleaner, put the one pin back on, put the wheel back on, and you're good to go. So, yeah, one of my friends, Kevin, sorry Kevin, I had to mention you. And he trying to help someone out. The guy says, yeah, I need a hammer. You don't need a hammer to Kevin went to go take a look at this guy's, what he was doing, and man, he had the whole thing off, and all you gotta do is change the pads. So, okay, so there we go. We have now reinstalled, and we've taken off on an earlier segment the old caliper, the old rotor, and old pads. And then on this segment, we've reinstalled the new rotor, brand new caliper, brand new pads, cleaned up the entire area, and now we are ready to bleed the brakes. But that will be on a later segment. I'm going to do that on a later segment, and maybe not. Bleeding brakes is pretty simple. For those of you who don't know, and I'll just give you a little heads up. They sell this, it's called a one-man bleeder kit, and it's pretty simple. You know, it's simple to operate. One-man bleeder kit, again, AutoZone. You put the brake fluid inside here, get rid of the bubbles, pump the brake a couple times. Real simple to operate. That's why I don't think this is really necessary to do, but thank you for watching both segments, if you have watched both segments, and thanks for watching and tuning in to Dave's Garage.